KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got you covered around the clock. Racism,
we don't hate white people, we hate the oppressors, whether he be white, black, brown, or yellow.
we got you. Miseducation, we got you. Gun violence, we have you covered.
If you're afraid of prejudice, you're afraid of yourself.
A black-owned and operated, evidence-based alternative radio station for progressive, open-minded people like you and me. Welcome home, L.A. We're all in this together. It's KBLA Talk 1580, broadcasting from the heart of L.A.'s Leimert Park. We've got a lot to talk about.
You can't do it unless you believe that you can do it.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money D. I'ma put you up on the schedule. 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not doing ceremonies. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune in KBLA 1580 to get the mess. With your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tap a spot and making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in to First Things First with the Queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis. Go sis. Go sis.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First. My first thing every single day, and it's a wild one this morning, is giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from the Most High. I hope you're doing the same. I'm glad you could start your day with me, asking for the blessings of the ancestors, the elders, the community. And let's go. We do always have a lot to talk about around here. And you know what we do. Hour one, we typically take a look at what's going on around here. By around here, I mean left coast. LA, your neighborhood, your town, whatever's going on with you. Hour two, we look at national, international, and beyond. In hour three, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. Today, get to talk with the controller for the city of Los Angeles, young progressive Kenneth Mejia. Got a lot to talk about there. Looking forward to that conversation. And we'll also be getting a quick check-in from the icon himself, Brian McKnight, at the very end of the show. So he's got a show coming up. We got a show to do, so that's what we're doing. And I would love to hear from you. You know it's a Talking Point Tuesday. And so on Talking Point Tuesday, what do? We break down things that we say, things that others say, things that are constantly repeated that do not serve us, that do not mean what we think they mean. And sometimes we can create our own talking points so that we can start changing the narrative. When we look at this idea of changing the narrative, seizing control of what our community is seen as, is talked about in circles outside our own. That is super important. That's one of the reasons I feel so blessed and so privileged to be part of KBLA Talk 1580. Long before Tavis Smiley called me to get involved with this project, I had always dreamed about a black, really BIPOC, inclusive, where everyone is invited and we get to be unapologetically progressive in our viewpoint. I had dreamed about that because I know, and I knew then, that when you looked at the issue of how we see things, it's a lot of it is shaped by what we hear in the media. And I always think about these thousands and thousands of talk radio stations across the country. I think about when I first moved to Los Angeles, and we were in the height of toxic racism. We were in the height of anti-blackness. Yeah, we still see it today. I'm not saying it's all gone, but we were in the height of that. We were in that OJ period when it was almost like there was a litmus test to see if you were considered acceptable to white America, which had to do with your perception about OJ and the 1992 civil unrest. And I think at that time I used to have people, when I started doing my show Street Science, I used to have people calling me angry about things that they had heard on other talk radio stations, and you know which ones I'm talking about, that consistently provide a slanted anti-black conservative agenda. And you multiply that by thousands, and then you think about how people fell into the MAGA trap, how they fell into and are falling into the QAnon trap, why people believe and say things that don't serve their best interests. And I think about those thousands and thousands of stations carrying tens of thousands of voices that are talking away day and night to our demise, right? And you think about the power of the word, this idea of thought, word, deed, the word being made flesh, and the way that we manifest what we say and do over and over again, the idea of an affirmation. Well, most talk radio in this country is the opposite of an affirmation, right? It's like a demise agenda for Black America, for women, half of the country, even though many women, some women subscribe to that, and on it goes. So I've always wanted to do this, and so I feel so blessed to be doing it, and that's why we do Talking Point Tuesday. It's also a reminder to ourselves to process the things that we hear, even from ourselves. Where did I get that? Where did I hear that? Is it verifiable? Is it fact-based? Who does it serve? Whose best interest does it serve? Follow the money, even if there's no money coming to you. Someone fed that to you that was getting paid to make you think a certain way. That's media literacy. Being able to follow the money, understand the source, and how that source colors the information that we get. What do I mean by that? If I get something in my DM, say in Instagram or Facebook, and I don't know what it is, or I hear about a breaking news story, then I will go and I will look at it. I will look at it online on a search engine, your DuckDuckGo, your Yahoo, your Google, and I will see what are the right-wing or conservative outlets saying about the story. What is Fox? What is the Wall Street Journal? What is the Weekly Standard? What are they saying? And then I will look at what we call the left here in the United States. I'll look at the Huffington Post. What do they think? What is the Nation saying? I guess the so-called middle, I'm not sure where that is, but maybe it's the New York Times, although conservatives will say that's liberal and progressives will say it's conservative. So maybe that makes it the middle. I don't know, the LA Times. And let's compare, because they're all going to have a different spin, a different headline, a different interpretation of that same story. And then you get to use your own brain and say, oh, okay, and it's not always that simple. I mean, you've heard some of the conversation, really gripping conversation that we've had about the war in Ukraine, for example. It's not just black and white. Well, we're for it, we're against it. We want to send money, we don't want to send money. Many of these things are nuanced. But at least when you look across the spectrum, it teaches you to read between the headlines, form your own conclusions, and figure out who is pushing for what so that you can find the hidden agendas, find the propaganda. That's why we do Talking Point Tuesday, and today is one of those. So call me. Love to hear from you. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. A lot going on, a lot to unpack. Hope you're staying warm and dry. Hope your power is on. Mine is back on, speaking of things to be grateful for. This is KBLA Talk 1580, and we are, all the time, unapologetically progressive.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift the Eras Tour, presented by Capital One. Oh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. It's normal. With CalHope's free and secure mental health resources, it's easy to get the help you and your loved ones need when you need it the most. Call our warm line at 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
Periods don't care what you're doing, but your pads should. Get Always Triple Protection System and Always Day and Night Pads. Always Day Pads protect when active by wicking away gushes 2 times faster than leading store brands and giving us up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort. When we size up our pad at night, we get the same triple protection, plus up to 75% more coverage in the back for when we're laying down. No matter what, Always has you covered, day and night.
KBLA Talk 1580 would like to thank all of the businesses that tune into KBLA at work. We celebrate you, your calls to the station, and your overall support. To show our appreciation, we would like to treat your office to lunch for 10, sponsored by John O'Groats Family-Owned Restaurant and johnogroats.us. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app or log on to KBLA1580.com to submit your office to be selected for our Office of the Week. We know you're just like our staff, putting in many hard, smart working hours per week. We just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you. You and your staff deserve lunch on us. Enter your office to win lunch for 10 and be highlighted on KBLA Talk 1580 as our Office of the Week. Open the KBLA app or log on to KBLA1580.com to enter your office today to become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week, sponsored by John O'Groats Family-Owned Restaurant and johnogroats.us. Become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action. Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Wow, I mean, this crazy time when they said we were going to have storms again this week, I was thinking, sprinkle, sprinkle. I wasn't thinking full-on monsoon again. Now there's a state of emergency in San Bernardino County. You've got snow actually, packed in where people can't get through. We here in Southern California, we're just not used to this. We're not prepared. Things that you would consider, normal, simple, if you're on the East Coast, are a big deal here because we don't have the systems in place to deal with this kind of weather. Well, we're going to have to get it together because obviously this is a climate emergency. Clearly, the conditions that we're dealing with are changed, and at least for the foreseeable future, unpredictable. Let's go to Carl calling from L.A. Hi, Carl.
Lafayette, good morning. How you doing, Dominique?
I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm great. I know Channel 13 at 5 o'clock in the evening. They have a brother and a sister on there. They usually give out pretty good information, and I'm still good with at least 6 different papers in Los Angeles, where I pick up information and stuff, look at articles. Hey, but Cocaine Bear right now is in second place, at the movie theater. It's holding this ground. I didn't think it would, but it's kind of funny and it's kind of crazy too, but it's like, wow.
Wait, what is in second place? I didn't hear what you said.
Cocaine Bear. It's a movie. It's holding its ground second place at the movie theater in the box office.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, Ice Cube's son is in it.
Oh, really? O'Shea, yeah, awesome. O'Shea, excuse me. Yeah. That's dope. I'm not familiar. It sounds like a strange title for a movie, but okay.
Yeah, you got to see it to believe it. But anyway,
I see. It's a thriller with. Okay.
Yeah.
O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Ray Liotta. This has got to have been shot a while ago. Ray Liotta made his transition already.
Yeah, well, it's out in the movie theaters right now.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
Hey, look, the Board of Supervisors are planning on trying to strip down, I guess, poor folks. They're doing a little vote today over in downtown Los Angeles with the supervisors on COVID-19 taking away benefits from the people. So the governor, he's already on the roll, taking back whatever he can take back from poor people that, once they throw you something, then they take it back from you.
Yeah, it's a tough situation because we know that we had a hopefully once in a lifetime pandemic, and then the Board of Supervisors, this LA City Council, our lawmakers, the governor, really did step up. And although we are not all the way out of it, it's not sustainable to be able to, well, maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it doesn't seem sustainable. It's not sustainable. Certainly having a rent moratorium is not sustainable for the folks that, own those buildings, especially the mom and pop folks. But at the same time, you don't want this massive, okay, pandemic over, go back, to the streets. And I worry about that with not just, as you pointed out, not just the voter protections, but some of the other, I guess we'll call them benefits, some of the other supplementary help that people have been getting.
Yeah, people been relying on that for the last 3 years, Now they're talking about something with Medicare, Medi-Cal, trying to take that away from the people, put everybody on Obamacare, they saying. So that's been the Republican Party agenda. That's not new. They're just trying to seize the moment when they feel they have momentum and control of the House of Representatives. If you look at the fact that, Republican governors in states across the nation have continuously refused Medicaid, even though their constituents need that medical coverage. They've refused the dollars from the feds, and so those folks are uncovered and don't have health care. It's why, it's all bad, but I'm hoping that either we take back the House of Representatives in 2024 or that Republicans mess around and upset their own base to the point where there's a rebellion, because the fact that they're willing to die on the hill of, we don't want you to get student loan forgiveness, to me that's just callous. They don't care about the poor, and they're now no longer hiding it. I was looking at a news report. It might have been News Press or something like that, because I go to some stations sometimes too. But anyway, they were talking about if you got your check and didn't graduate from college, or you didn't finish your course, you don't get those student loan debt. You got your check and cashed it and ate pizza and bought tennis shoes and partied and whatever. You don't get a check because you dropped out of school.
Well, is that a condition of the loan forgiveness? I haven't seen the application. I know that millions applied for it.
That's part of it.
But that doesn't necessarily mean people ate pizza. It might be that they had to go to work because they couldn't afford to stay in school.
Mm-hmm. Well, they said that Joe Biden, they got this protest. I think it's down there in Washington, D.C. They're protesting in front of
at the Supreme Court.
The White House. Yeah, Supreme Court, and they said that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, Vice President of the United States, they can wipe the debt out right now if they want to.
Well, they just tried to wipe out the student loan debt, not wipe it all out, but forgive quite a bit of it. And the reason it's even at the Supreme Court is because conservatives sued, saying that the president doesn't have the authority to forgive student loans. So that's a dumb argument, because the president, under pressure from us, the people, went ahead and kept his campaign promise, and conservatives are the ones that sued to block it, which is why it's even at the Supreme Court, which is why it's now in the hands of a craven conservative activist extreme court.
Wow. Dominique, what's Barbara Lee, Congresswoman, going to do with her campaign? Is she just going to run on abortions and women's rights? I mean, that's all I'm hearing her speak on. I mean, don't she know that black men vote? And we might have
Whoa.
you know
so you're saying black men don't care about women's rights? That's not my experience.
No, we care, but I'm just saying that's all I hear ever talking about is women's rights for the last 2 weeks. Women's rights and abortion. I mean, where are we going with that?
Well, maybe you need to get in touch with her campaign. I mean, that would be a very narrow way to run, especially when you consider what you started with, Carl, which is the fact that a lot of folks are now trying to figure out how to stay afloat or move forward without the help that we had during the pandemic. And it's not just because the pandemic isn't fully over, even though now we call it an endemic. It's also because we stacked up debt. I mean, people stacked up debt. They owe back rent. You know what I mean? They owe back light bills and all this other stuff. And now the doggone gas bills to keep your house warm when it's so cold for us it's ridiculous. Mine quadrupled. It's 4 times what it usually is. That's insane. Who can, and people already had backed up bills. So I think that's one of the things she probably should focus on is exactly what you said. How can we lead you forward? How can we bring home some aid from Washington to help folks transition out of having that help into, having the stability to be able to continue without it.
Thank you, Dominique. Always a pleasure talking with you.
You want to call Barbara Lee, Congresswoman Lee office? I suggest, I'm not even playing, go on the website and stuff, because if you as a black man are receiving this as not addressing your issues, then that's something that should be brought to her attention. That's a perilous.
Thanks, Dominique.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. I mean, please believe that that's something that her opponents in the race could seize on and certainly maybe captivate your vote. We've seen some gullible black people peel off and vote for the 45th president, so it could happen again. And we in the Senate race for California, you don't even have a MAGA person that has a chance. You've got 3 people that are varying degrees of liberal or progressive. That's what you have. Congresswoman Katie Porter, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, Congressman Adam Schiff. There is no Lauren Boebert. There is no Marjorie Taylor Greene over here. This is Cali, and so we're not going to send anybody like that to the Senate. So this should be quite a contentious and interesting race. Terry from LA, what's up?
Good morning, Dominique.
Welcome, my black Republican listener. I'm happy to have a handful of those, maybe more.
Yeah, I know I can't get 5 minutes like your first caller. I wish I could comment on 1 or 2 things, but he said, but let me get my little time.
Most of the time you take up like 10, 20, 30 minutes. That's why they be talking about you on social media. Terry talking up the whole show, but go ahead, Terry.
I'm getting you some. What I want to comment on, I'm not going to comment on what your first caller said because, like I say, I know you only give me 2 minutes. But I really would like your feedback on the second question that I had to ask you. This is not a question, but with Joe Biden, he giving Ukraine all this money, the United States going bankrupt. Why the guy can't have the common sense to try to get Russia to come to the table to just talk and iron it out instead of just giving them money every week and we paying the price for it? He already don't know what he's doing when he left all the Americans in Afghanistan. So, and he gonna send us into a war like we really struggling out here, and he giving them money every week. I get it. Russia, whatever, he had to help Ukraine. I get that, but I mean, he should try to bring everybody to the table. But now the question what I wanted to ask you was, I was listening to some talk show, I guess Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton this morning. Like Sunday morning, I believe. And I feel so sad. I almost wanted to cry. The Peoples was calling from Chicago, and I guess they was like, it's no economic hope. Like, whoever, they won't build up nothing, no jobs, no nothing. So, on Lightfoot, what's your comment on that? Like, is she probably scared to go down to the community because Chicago is the roughest place in the country? Maybe she won't get reelected.
You know, Terry, you just said a whole bunch of things, and I wanted to let you air out your perspective. I don't claim to be an expert on the Chicago mayor's race. I know they have some real challenges when it comes to, the violence there. And nationwide, we have challenges in the economy. It's time for news, traffic, and sports, but I want to talk a little bit more about that, what's going on in some of these big cities, and also your idea that Biden should be the savior of the whole world when it comes to the Ukraine war. I love that you have so much confidence in President Biden, Terry. News, traffic, and sports, and more on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Congressional members from New York and New Jersey and 9/11 first responders are gathering today to announce a bill that will add funding to the World Trade Center Health Program. The program helps first responders and others who have gotten sick from toxins connected to the September 11th terror attacks. Now this about HBCU, Tennessee State University. State officials are supporting an extension for the Tennessee State University Board of Trustees despite the recent critical report. Subcommittee members have voted in favor of keeping the panel in place for another year. Auditors with the State Comptroller's Office say TSU administrators mishandled scholarship applications for this academic year, leading to a shortfall in on-campus housing. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org. Who has over 6,000 five-star reviews for water heater repairs and replacements? Water Heaters Only. That's who. Visit waterheatersonly.com for quick same-day service. And if you want low prices, that's their business. Waterheatersonly.com. That's waterheatersonly.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Just when things appear to be looking up for the Lakers, they get troubling news concerning LeBron James' right foot. LeBron was already ruled out of tonight's game in Memphis, but further tests revealed the injury is more serious. Sources close to the Lakers believe LeBron could be out several weeks. LeBron hurt his foot on a drive to the basket late in the third quarter of Sunday's game at Dallas. The timing of LeBron's injury could not be worse for the Lakers, who are 3 games under 500 and trying to make the Western Conference playoffs. The Lakers are 5-9 this season without LeBron. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
Aaron from Original Taco Pete here, inviting you to our newest location at 3272 West Slauson off Crenshaw for Taco Tuesday, only $175. Call 323-348-4441 to order.
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Aisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with Kate Luzio, former banking executive and now owner of Luminary, who partnered with Chase for this tour. She makes it her business to build community for business owners.
Yeah, so I was a banker for 20 years before I decided to become an entrepreneur. 7 of those years were actually at JP Morgan Chase. One of the biggest things that I had going into my entrepreneurial journey was a big background in banking.
So what advice are you giving business owners looking for financial backing today?
So Chase brings in so much knowledge and the opportunity to understand what financial tools are out there for business owners to build, grow, and scale their business. A lot of business owners will say, well, I need to get a loan immediately. Well, you wouldn't just lend money to your friend because you didn't know why they needed it. I tell every business owner, you need a business plan, you need financial projections, you need a banker. Because you have to start building a relationship with a banker so that they get comfortable with how you're going to build that business and so that they can eventually support you in different ways.
Makes sense. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Aisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
Did you know that California has the first in the nation task force to study reparations for African Americans? The work of the task force is to examine and recommend to the state legislature potential remedies of compensation, rehabilitation, and restitution for African Americans, with a special consideration for the descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. The task force has been hosting public hearings across the state to create awareness and educate the public. Be part of history and join them for public comment from 9 to 10 a.m. on March 3rd and 4th in Sacramento at the next Reparations Task Force meeting. For more information, visit the California Department of Justice website at oag.ca.gov. That's oag.ca.gov. Or you can send them an email from the website. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, so Terry was talking about the war in Ukraine, and we have had a lot of conversation about that, even though we typically look local in hour one. But all of these things do impact us locally. As you point out, Terry, when we intervene around the world, it makes us prioritize our military budget over our humanitarian budget, i.e., we claim, or I should say Republicans claim, that we don't have enough money to fund the continuation of the child tax credit, which lifted 4 million American children out of poverty in 2022. And the Republicans and some conservative Democrats, like Joe Manchin, did not allow that to be reauthorized. That's just one example. And so we have a rare moment of agreement here in terms of the expenditure. How deep into this do we go? Of course, we stand with Ukraine, Terry, but how much do we spend on this? How much do we make it our war? Now, to your point about what Biden should or shouldn't do with Vladimir Putin, I mean, honestly, it's Ukraine and Russia that are in a war, not the United States and Russia. Yeah, we know it's kind of a proxy war and that the West is funding the Ukrainian army. Otherwise, it's highly unlikely they'd still be standing, despite their incredible commitment and ferocity to fighting what has been viewed as a superpower, although they're not looking too super right now. But I think we've got to, this is one place where we have to do nuance. We have to do subtlety. We can't just say, oh, well, forget Ukraine, or, oh, well, let's make this our war and send them tanks and fighter jets and billions and billions and billions of dollars and go into another long, forever war. As for Afghanistan, yeah, well, again, what's the not messy way to pull out of a war? I think it would be great if it would have been smooth and perfect. It wasn't, but I credit Biden for getting us out of there. We needed to get out of there. We could have stayed there another 10 years, 5 years. Somebody had to do it. And part of the reason for that exit being so sloppy is because he who shall not be named, the 45th president, showed our hand and made deals with the Taliban before Biden even took office that he had to adhere to a certain degree. And so to say he left Americans behind, no, that's not really true. There were Americans that were told repeatedly to leave, and for many different reasons, some folks don't want to. They're married or they have some kind of other ties to Afghanistan. And so, it was problematic, but it's war. It's messy. It's never going to be what you want it to be, except in the movies. And so, although we could say it was clumsy, for me, that's in the Biden win column. Got us out of there. And I feel for the people of Afghanistan. Hear about women and how they're not allowed to go to school again, and the old Taliban morality police are running around making their lives a misery. And now they're fighting people that were armed and trained by us, which makes it a lot harder. But at the same time, you say, well, it's your country. At some point, you've got to drive these folks out. You have to do it. And too bad we made it harder. And clearly we are continuing to offer them humanitarian aid and such. But again, it's always about priorities because, yes, you want to stand with Ukraine. Yes, we should support them. And it would be great if there was a diplomatic solution. I think that's going to take more than just the United States. I can't say with confidence that we're doing everything we can diplomatically, but Putin just pulled out of the START treaty. He's escalating, not de-escalating. So I'm not convinced that Biden alone can do that, but I certainly would love to see him go all in to bring peace. And what does that have to do with the left coast? Again, it's always budgeting, right? Right now we're still trying to come out of this pandemic. Clearly, those infrastructure dollars that the Biden administration did manage to pass are going to be crucial when you look at the weather, not just here but across the nation, and the kind of havoc that's being wreaked by it. Speaking of wrecks, a train, crash in Palestine. It's clear that those infrastructure dollars are needed, but when we get now we're back to logjam Congress or obstructionist Congress like we saw for most of the term of President Obama, where they, you can pass something in the Senate, but you can't pass it in the House. We really had the same thing last time. It's just that there were some occasions where they could get the extreme conservative Democrats to vote with the Democrats, and in those cases we were able to pass some important legislation. And it's a good thing that he did that, because we're going to have to, make do with judges and whatever else. I mean, even if, look, right now, what I was talking about yesterday, if the president went on a rampage to expand the Supreme Court, which we need to do because they're out of control and they're taking us to a place that no one in this country agreed to, with their conservatism and backwardness, right? But even if the president went on a rampage and then the Congress said, you know what, we're going to follow in step with the president, we want to expand the Supreme Court, it's not going to happen until we get the Congress back. Because the folks that are in charge, the folks that have Speaker McCarthy's butt in a sling, are not going to pass anything like that. It's just not going to happen. I don't see it. Do we keep trying? Absolutely, yes, we do. Okay. I am just stunned that I missed a movie called Cocaine Bear. Carl, I think I don't get out of the house enough. Anyway, let's go to Dee calling us from Long Beach. Good morning, Dee.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you?
I'm good. What's up?
I want to talk about the existential crisis within the Republican Party. The party must reform itself, or it will go the way of the Whig Party or the Do-Nothing Party. I think when you consider that George W. Bush and Bob Dole garnered 10% of the black vote, I think,
Did they?
Yes, ma'am, they did.
I never saw that data. I must have been really upset about it at the time. I'm sure I was.
I mean, as a radical Republican, as a market socialist, I think, America and Los Angeles could be ground zero for large city sustainability. But my main point is that the party must reform itself, or it will go out of business.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I mean, and even when they were supposedly reasonable in the Reagan-Bush days, they were still doing terrible things when it comes to our community. But now it's just like, we don't care. No diversity, equity, inclusion. Stay out. We're the party of white supremacy. Speaking of talking points, this is a true one. The Republican Party is the party that doesn't want black people to vote. So what does a radical Republican be? You call yourself that, but what does it really mean?
Again, a market socialist who believes that you socialize the good stuff, you make the other stuff cost something. But, good things to me are like national health insurance, single payer. Good things to me are like free transit buses. Good things to me are like a public TV, a truly public TV platform where people improve themselves. So that's what radical republicanism means to me. You have the radical Republicans of the Lincoln era.
But the Republican Party of the Lincoln era is a completely different party. I know people like to call themselves Lincoln Republicans, but that's like, to me, that's like, calling yourself a Model T Ford driver. That's not today's Ford. It's a completely different vehicle. It's not even in the same category. I don't know. That's how I see it. But if you look at the policies, that's what it is. Interesting though. I love your. I don't see anyone anywhere in the Republican Party where that what you just laid out would be accepted, but it's quite interesting. Everyone's invited around here. 800-920-1580. We are KBLA Talk 1580. Call me now.
Black LA's only destination to unarmed truth and unconditional love. The time for silence has passed. The time to speak is now. At KBLA Talk 1580. Not just during Black History Month, but every day of the year.
New assembly bill would ban the use of police canines for arrests and crowd control. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. Assemblymember Corey Jackson introduced AB 742 that would prohibit the use of police canines for arrests, apprehensions, and crowd control. The use of police canines, supporters of the legislation say, is a throwback to the darkest days of legal slavery, Jim Crow segregation, and a reminder of America's history of racial bias, aggression, and violence against black people and people of color. What say you, KBLA listeners? Let us know at KBLA 1580 on all social media channels.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com.
Let's get back to business, Los Angeles County. The Economic Opportunity Grant Program is now open. This program is designed to provide financial support to qualified small businesses, micro-entrepreneurs, food industry businesses such as restaurants, and nonprofits in Los Angeles County. Approximately 4,600 grants of up to $2,500 each will be administered to qualified micro-businesses that face barriers to accessing capital resources. To learn more about the Economic Opportunity Grant Program, visit www.grants.lacounty.gov. The application process is fast and easy. Don't miss the opportunity to get back to business. This program is administered by the County of Los Angeles through its Department of Economic Opportunity and funded in part through a grant from the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. The application portal is powered by Lindustry. Visit www.grants.lacounty.gov and get back to business.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
We are for everybody, especially you, 800-920-1580. That's one of the reasons we need a place like this, so you can air it out. If I make you mad, call me. If I make you happy, call me. If it ain't about me at all, but you just want to say it, call me, 800-920-1580. So Carl is right. The governor has rescinded the state of emergency in our Golden State. It ends today, last day of Black History Month. It's really more symbolic than anything because, y'all been walking around here like there's no pandemic anymore anyway. But it also means that, the executive powers of the governor go back to normal, I guess. And he says we're ready to move forward. I hope he's right. We've been in a state of emergency since March 4th of 2020, and it's been a long haul. Again, we have seen good results in California, which is why I think it's so sad that the Department of Transportation put out yesterday, or day before yesterday, that the COVID virus probably came from a Chinese lab, escaped from a Chinese lab. There's still no widespread agreement on that. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But now people are back to fighting about masks and who got the jab and who didn't get the jab. Why can't you stay out of other people's business? Don't be mad at someone if they chose not to get it, and don't be all in their business if someone did. Like, that's their personal health business. And clearly masks work, whether you like them or not, because wherever people started wearing them, infection rates went down. When they stopped wearing them, they went up. So same with the flu and everything else. Do you want to wear a mask all your life? No, I know I don't. If I'm outside or whatever, but if I'm in a real crowded place and going to be there for a minute, I'm still probably going to wear a mask because COVID is not fun and is not worth it, especially with the long COVID as a possibility. But hey, we are no longer in a state of emergency. We have the 11th lowest COVID death rate per capita in the country, which isn't bad considering how many folks live here. So, what does it mean? I think Carl's concerns are right, and for those who live in Los Angeles and elected Mayor Karen Bass, I think we pat ourselves on the back, because having someone that understands that you don't wave a magic wand and everybody goes back to normal, someone who comes from a health background and understands the burdens, not just physical and mental health burdens of this pandemic, but also the economic burdens, and will look at it in terms of an off-ramp as opposed to pushing folks off a cliff, is going to be really, really important. All this work of safe inside and getting folks off the street, so important right now, because in the conversation I had with the mayor a week ago today, which, is we talked about how it's not just the unhoused, although that's a huge piece, but keeping folks who are housing burden, meaning you're paying half or more of your income is going to keep a roof over your head. Keeping those people from becoming unsheltered. What does that look like? What kind of commitment does it take? That is a piece of pandemic recovery. That emergency ain't over. And fortunately, our mayor knows that. Fortunately, it appears that most of the members of our LA County Board of Supervisors know that. And hopefully they will be able to take creative measures to stem a possible second tsunami of unhoused folks as these eviction protections fall away and people look to figure out how to dig out of the hole that they have in terms of debt. And some more aggressive landlords, usually not the mom and pops, usually it's the corporate ones that have attorneys that say, well, we can use this loophole and that loophole to get this person out. And I'm already hearing stories like that from friends. They had a notice on their door, this or that, even though technically LA County is still providing protection because of what the lawyers for the huge corporation that owns the building have decided is the best move. And so I think this is one moment where we're really going to be seeing the difference, just like we did at the beginning of the pandemic, what difference it makes when you elect people that care and that are beholden to a progressive agenda, which is, we don't want people out on the streets starving and dying on corners. That's the progressive agenda I'm talking about. Never too late to call me, 800-920-1580. It's never too late to call me until I've passed the mic off to Travis Smiley at 9 a.m. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you had it up to gear with cultural and competence. KBLA Talk 1580.
The U.S. premiere of the official Bob Marley One Love Experience has arrived in Los Angeles. Open now through April 23rd at Ovation Hollywood on the corner of Hollywood and Highland. The 15,000 square foot immersive experience opens up the world of Bob Marley like never before and features the entire Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Bob Marley archive. A One Love force that takes fans on a trip to Jamaica in a multi-sensory environment, a silent disco that lets fans groove out to a curated playlist, previously unseen photos, and rare memorabilia, exclusive art from Mr. Brainwash, The Postman, Camo Works, and Idiot Box, and can't miss photo ops. Don't miss the opportunity to celebrate one of the world's most beloved and unifying musical figures. Tickets start at $20 plus fees and are available at BobMarleyEXP.com. That's BobMarleyEXP.com. Get your tickets today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically black university. Congratulations, South LA. Congratulations to the dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Prothos-Stiff. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't back down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Celebrate Black History every day with KBLA Talk 1580.
Here's a talking point that I would encourage you, I'll do it quick, to look under the hood. When I was searching for schools for my son. I've done it when he was in preschool, elementary, high school. You look at the scores of these different schools and you try to think, their academic scores, you kind of look at what the population is like. Is this somewhere my child would be happy? Public schools, charter schools, independent schools, will they teach them? Well, a lot of folks will get waivers to go to Culver City because we have this idea that Culver City schools are better than South LA schools. And maybe in some ways they are. They certainly have more resources. But now you've got parents of black kids saying that their kids are being bullied, that they're being attacked, facing racist attacks, and the like. And the reason I call this as a talking point is because when I looked into Culver City schools, I found that they do have good scores, nice campuses, teachers rated highly. But if you dig a little deeper, the black students there are not thriving academically. And this is what I found with a lot of schools that are highly rated. You have to look, how are they serving black students? Just because a school has a good reputation doesn't mean they're taking care of the African American children there. That's my pushback to that's a better school than here talking point. Dig beneath the surface. All right, we going national. Freestyle phones, 800-920-1580. You know what to do. It's KBLA Talk 1580.